Uh, I would like to welcome all our viewers today who have joined us to this Artexplore 3, where we have started a dialogue between an artist and a curator. And this is our third from the session. And today we have here Dr. Raj Kumar Mazinder, who is an artist from Assam, and Amrita Gupta Singh, and she is a curator, art historian, curator, and art writer. So I'll just read their small few lines from their bio to give an introduction. Some people who have joined know them, some don't know because Rajkumar Majinder, we call Rajuda, is quite a senior artist from Assam, but he had been practicing in Assam. So many people don't know also, some may know, but I'll just read on their introduction. Dr. Rajkumar Majinder was born 1965 in Guwahati, Assam, and he did his bachelor's in visual art at Kala Bhavan Shantiniketan in 1990 and master's from the MS University Baroda in 1992. Dr. Majinder has exhibited extensively in India and abroad since 1990. He has got awarded Europe Art Tour of Paris, Venice, Florence, and Rome in All India Art Exhibition 2014 and Eastern Regional Art Exhibition at Academy of Fine Arts, Kolkata, organized by Camel Art Foundation, Mumbai, and exhibited his paintings at the 7th Bharat Bhavan Biennale of Contemporary Indian Art in 2017 at Bharat Bhavan. His works are a part of the permanent collection of various institutions like San Antonio Art Institute, USA, Royal College of Art, London, Lalit Kala Academy, New Delhi, Regional Lalit Kala Kendra, Kolkata, Delhi College of Art, New Delhi, and many private collections. He also keeps an interest on writing also, and he does write in Hindi, in Assamese as well as English. And here Amrita Gupta Singh is an art historian, researcher, and writer involved in art education, archiving, and cultural management. In 2002, she joined the Mohila Parekh Center, Mumbai, and became its program director in 2005. In this capacity, she has curated a wide range of seminars, scholarly talks, panel workshop, exhibitions, film screening, study group, and public art projects. And specifically, I would like to mention that she received a grant from the India Foundation for Art in 2013 and 15 to document the art practices of Northeast India and is continuing research in this area. Essays from this research are forthcoming in the book 20th Century India Art, co-edited by Partha Mittal, Parul Dave Mukherjee, and Rakhi Balram. And most recently, she is on the editorial board of the online journal Partition Studies Quarterly, which focuses on the partition narrative of Northeast India within the larger discourse of partition of India. And there are much more to her credit. I'm not going into all the detail because our time is limited. And so I'll just pass it on to Amrita, and I'm also admitting people who are joining in right now. So I'm just passing in to Amrita, and Amrita can just start and then get it to Rajkumar Majinder. Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome, Amrita.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pranamita, for organizing this program today, and also the Shield Art initiative. I think you all are doing wonderful things over the years that you've started, and I'm very glad to be a part of this platform. And it's a pleasure to speak to Rajuda again, because we've been speaking to each other for, well, since the time I started my research. And my research is, as you said, is documenting the art practices of Northeast India. And currently I'm focusing on Assam, and I've started on the others as well. And Rajuda and I have spoken a lot with each other. We have been on platforms In fact, PCCR had done a seminar. Then there was art education roundtable where Rajuda was also present. So it's been a series of conversations that we've had, and I'm glad to be a part of this. So Rajuda, I invite you to begin the talk, and we'll just go as you said, we'll go through your creative journey, and then we can have a conversation.
Thanks to Field Art Initiative for this online conversation, Explore 3. Thanks to Vikas Kumar and Pranamita Bargohain. And nice to talk to Amrita Gupta Singh. Myself, Dr. Raj Kumar Mazinder. I am from Assam, presently assistant professor in visual art, Assam University Future. Beginning of my conversation, I born in Guwahati in 1965. Then I studied, beginning my study in primary school in Sankardev Vidyalaya, then Kamrup Academy, HS School, then Artu Vidyabit College, then Kalabhavan Santiniketan. In my early days, I studied art in Guwahati Art School under guidance of Benito, then Asudev, then Drubodeka, then Parakumar Deka. Then at that time, in 1980, and very bad situation in Assam due to Assam movement. So we are practicing art with my friends. And also that time I attracted to leftist ideology and participate several activities like film festival and art exhibition like this. Then I'm thinking to go after doing my pre-university in science to Santiniketan. Uh, then I, after passing out my pre-university, in 1983, I applied for Santiniketan in 1994, and that year I didn't get the admission, and 1985 I got the admission in painting. No, it's a 2 years foundation course, then 3 years specialized course. So that time from Guwahati, I don't have any knowledge of the Bengali and the Bangla language. But I went there, and within 3 months I learned Bengali and also Rabindranath Tagore's whole art and culture about his Santiniketan environment attracted me actually. Slowly I quite accustomed to the whole environment and also got some very good teachers like Professor Juben Chaudhary, then Nandadulal Mukherjee, Nirmalananda Das, and then of course K.G. Subramanian. And I that time I'm thinking to take filmmaking for my specialization, but my due to my health condition, I have to take painting. So I completed my bachelor degree in 1990. Santiniketan, that rural environment and rural land. I born and brought up in an urban city like Guwahati. That thing, Guwahati middle class household and setting, that thing attracted me. So Santiniketan, I somehow I don't like actually, but Santiniketan ideology, singing pattern also quite inspired me in my whole life. After that, I think to join in Baroda for my master's in filmmaking, and I got admission there in 1990, and studied there 2 years. Very grateful to Professor Professor Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh, then Sweetie Dhuma, and what I thinking about the middle class household interior and both exterior and interior in terms of my work. I have quite experimented in my mm, smaller works like etching, lino cut, like this also. So that's how my image is developed, and also I have involved with some progressive activities like summer of Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh and Rupan Thakkar group. That particular activity quite inspired me actually. I'm attracted to poetry and literature also that way, and also artistry, different seminars like this of our department, and also film club activities. That thing quite inspired me a lot. And also I did a dissertation there on 19th century print, Arunodaya print, which is people like it actually. That Anupam Sud came for CD of this our master's exam. So he quite liked my work and also my data. So 1991, my father died actually. So I had to return back to Guwahati in 1992 end. Actually, that time the Babri Masjid demolition is there. So at that time I had to return to Guwahati uh, via Santiniketan. Actually, that time Santiniketan I did a display in my graphics department. At the time, Suranjan Busu, Sugluda, uh, I like your work, but your work is like more like Baroda artist, Baroda that similar to Baroda school. So I like your decision to return back to Assam. Yeah, and now you can try for your local images like this. And I'm thankful to Sugluda, and he quite inspired me actually. Then I returned back to Guwahati. Then from 93, I got a fellowship, Bikram Sarabhai Foundation Fine Arts Fellowship I had got. And for 2 years, I got monthly 3,000 rupees. And with that money, actually, I have explored different places of Assam like Majuli, then Borpeta. Borpeta, I worked for 6 months in art school, and I explored that Borpeta software, that monastery, and also Utpoka tradition, and also. And at that, with the fellowship, I did an artist book there. His name is Poroma Poki.
Can we have the, sorry, can we start the PowerPoint now or later?
Yeah, you can start the PowerPoint. PowerPoint also, I can talk.
Rajuda, sorry, can you just mention which book you were talking about just now?
This book name is Parama Prakriti.
Okay.
Parama Prakriti. This is based on a poem named Parama Prakriti by Rabindra Sarkar. He is a poet of Assam, Guwahati. He wrote a travelogue on Goa. Actually. This is my work from 2005. This is work from 2005 in the background. It's a Sikonaraka. It's a Megadaka Tara that films in next.
Can we go to the next first slide?
Next one. This is my Santiniketan work where I use my middle class household, my home in Guwahati, my uncle's place. That here my cousin sister is sitting in a Assamese that can chair. The tempera, I'm actually using tempera painting there in Santiniketan. This is a painting from Baroda. I have I have studied a lot of drawings in Mumbai. Actually, in 1990 we went for an exhibition there to see an exhibition. There I visited country liquor shop, and there I make some drawings there. And with the drawings, I make this after returning back to department, Baroda. I make a lino cut print. Requires satire and all space. And this one also, and this title is Happy New Year. And this one circle, next. This one circles actually. I have studied a lot of drawing. I'm making a lot of drawing in my sketchbook. I'm making with that drawings. I make this work etchings actually in an old place. The title is circle. This is etching. Next. This one also a previous one. This one second class railroad compartment. This one a lino cut. Actually, I after passing out, I showed my work to Nilima Sheikh madam. She liked my work, this work. Actually, I did this with this my sketch. I did this work, and I have used like with small local linking using this kind of technically innovate also. Thanks. This is my dad's book actually, Porama Pukati. This one. It's on Goa actually. The poem by Rabindra Sarkar. Total 50 prints, 50 edition book actually. Next. This one, Ratha Yatra. This one actually, in 92 probably, I had made some drawing of that one political leader passing through the Baroda with that kind of procession. I made this some drawings, and with these drawings, I made this Ratha Yatra lino cut work.
So this is based on a political procession, is it?
Political procession.
Okay.
This one also a part of the artist book. His name is artist book name is this one, that artist book name is Ghost Tema Polito, and with the all prints there, I made this the one print images actually. Pasted the 6 images together. The end of it, this one part of the book. Next. This work is done in 99 in Guwahati. I seen in Baroda 1991 two very important workshops actually. One is conducted by Nalini Malani of drawing workshop in the printing department. Another is by Vivan Sundaram. He made one drawing workshop in which engine oil. And that workshop quite actually inspired me. And I'm thinking to do something beyond my painting and seeing small size to something with larger kind of also something in public also beyond the gallery also. I also in that time I talked with Vivan Sundaram also. And 1991, I read an article, the end of Vivan by Arundhati Rai in Frontline. And that article quite inspired me to do something which a kind of installation kind of work. Yeah. Before that, I read a lot of things about in Assamese language also by Prabhat Bora, then Ranjit Devagoswamy. They wrote extensively on postmodernism, not about art, but literature. But that seems quite inspired actually. I know that time I can read about Umberto Eco, then uh, Jacques Derrida, then Roland Barthes, and their philosophy. That seems quite ideologically inspired me. So
So
in this work, I have
yes, continue.
so, yeah. In this work, I have used Tibetan flags, like making a Tibetan flag like the they put this kind of flag in the outside of the temple or outside of the house like this. And I'm also thinking that my image is like that, something something awareness, something conveying thinking, a thought process of artist. So I made with handmade paper and put inside my photograph, my writing, and I have used a writing of my friend Debango Priya Doctor poem, Silent Motoyasu. Actually, he went to Hiroshima and he wrote a poem there actually on that Motoyasu River, near Motoyasu River. That and I used the poem there, and also some photographs of Darjeeling like this, and also I use some images of folk that folk painting also. There's four canvases there in the right hand side, so I did some images there, and
So
also one X-ray plate is there, the cross like this X-ray plate is there, and my self image is there. Then in left hand side violent image is there, so drawing violent image. So a kind of amalgamation of different thoughts in that installation.
So, would it be right to say that this is the first time that you broke out of the two-dimensional frame and moved into 3D? And through all
Yeah,
these conversations and
yeah,
influences that you've talked about.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a more or less flat thing, but you can move to the from one side to another side, explore different material, different surface also there.
Hmm.
So, but now I think I to break out from that my previous work. Actually. Next one. Next. This was in 2000 in January. I did a solo exhibition in Faculty of Fine Arts Gallery in IMS University, Baroda. And at that time, a lot of things about my previous work and also my in that exhibition, I had exhibited a lot of it is inspired from our local tradition, local nostalgia kind of thing. And but and also many artists, scholars, and my teachers interact with me, like Professor Ghulam Mohammad Sheikh, Basu from then Indro Pomitroy, and also they are quite they are talking with them. I quite inspired with my local elements and also present situation. After returning to the I did this work actually with pine cone and also some stars images of glasses actually, which I think person actually. Oh, 1995, I have joined in Assam University Museum of Guwahati University as a technical assistant. That one incident of breaking glass of our museum. So that thing quite hurted me actually. and that images comes to on the above the pine cone actually, and also the background orange color. And this one selling Assam toy. I have actually I have read I have bought a lot of art books in during my student life from the place I visited. Actually, I bet Anasan that book that Andrew Warhol, Joseph Boyce was quite inspired me actually. And also I'm thinking some after that thinking something new, and also I'm about that repetition kind of one images that Assam soil image is repeated. I made one print Assam soil, then I repeated the pasting the six prints together. So and also Assam oil is become soil. So I don't want to speak of sources and then of Assam. I want to speak about sorrow and despair, violence. And from that time onward, I want to speak with my work. So it became Assam soil images, and also that rhinoceros is there. It's a not symbolic. It's quite heartening. That one text is there on the rhino above the rhino. It's acting text also the heart. So we are slowly acting rhinoceros going to Islam. Acting also comes to my work. Next. Here, the title of this work is Apple. I've seen a textbook, a children's textbook in the roadside. Apple. Then I'm thinking with this text images, I'm thinking. Then I'm somehow Assam is neglected. We have given that half bitten, half eaten apple to Assam. Like this, I'm thinking just like this. So I use this kind of images in my work actually, and also there is images of Leonardo da Vinci's drawing also there in the backside. Also, some very personal images also there in this work.
So what is a reference to Leonardo's the man thing here in the context of this work?
Here in the which I think that somehow we become neglected. Actually, we cannot afford that kind of development. That time I am also thinking the modern art in Assam, lion figures, the periphery, that thing also comes to my mind actually. So I did these images from distant from metro cities like this. We are working in distant places in Assam. We can see what happening in New Delhi, in Kolkata, Mumbai. We can see actually, but can't participate also. So that thing also quite comes to my mind. I have taken this reference from the history book. That time internet is not there. I've taken the images from my book and put it there. So a kind of collage like images in my work. Next. This is also a red hen. It's a kind of violent images actually. In the people clash actually between hands. Violent images of group classes. This images. This things is content, and I have used stencil process, making stencil and then painted this stencil in the canvas, or paper. This is one canvas and one is paper. So I use same stencil and put in the stencil and in the last, in the green images, right hand side, the middle images is the stencil. So more identical images actually with the stencil. And I have used lot of newspaper photograph using in my work also. My own way. I've taken the photograph, then making this with my techniques and making something dripping kind of thing. The colors dripping like this, using this conventional acrylic painting. Want to break the conventional acrylic painting. Next one. This is 4-second reality. It's a painting acrylic on canvas. This is a vast image in Kardiang Longon. There is a massacre. All people died there in the massacre. Next. It's a again and again. Here in the middle, there is a Durdarshan symbol is there. Then the monk image is there in the middle. And also one advertisement. I'm using a lot of advertisement images also. That again and again, washing clothes like this kind of images. Also, camel logo is there. So from that multinational exploitation, I'm using the multinational exploitation in our land, also our places like this, the rate borders also. This kind of the repetition of same images. Actually, boredom of our daily life also in there. In my that Assam soil images also roll about writing also quite inspired me. This one next.
So can I just ask a small question? So is there a specific reference to Bart that you are talking about in Assam Toil? I mean, can you give that connection? Because there's a lot of reading that goes on also behind the making of your work. A lot of art history, a lot of literature. So if you could explain a bit.
Canara Lucidia writing of Rollabat quite inspired me actually. At that time, we have a group in Guwahati called Undo Object. That term is from that Rollabat writing. Do, undo, like this, he mentioned there. So that thing quite inspired me also. That oil, toil, like this, something sound, but totally opposite kind of images of meaning of the word.
And Undo Objects was also like a small group where you all wanted to break out, introduce new kind of practices and break out from the kind of work that was happening, right?
Actually, we are something doing collective with all kind of art. Not only visual art, but also literary art, film, then music. We can accumulate all kind of art activities actually. That time we did film show, that Meganka Montukallo, then operas, then Moni Photosector. We made their short film with our exhibition in 2000. And we also exhibited together with one sculptor called Jogen Bosumatari. He studied in Santiniketan, but that time I seen his work actually. Quite ethnic community, Bodo community inspired me. So I call him. We call him from Koprajhar and exhibited out with our exhibition. So taking liberty of choosing artists and exhibiting together, and also Monestor Bomol with our exhibition. We did a exhibition in Chitrakala, Karnataka Chitrakala Parishad also in Bangalore also together. Next. This work is a sad memory. This is a bomb blast image. And this
The
is a
earlier image, I
monthly
think. Hmm.
previous. This is a bomb blast images of 2006. I've taken reference from a newspaper cutting. That Riksha Fuller is a broken Riksha. This is a pencil, color pencil work. Size is 5 feet by 5 feet. Actually, when I visited to exhibit to go other places like Delhi, Mumbai, I collected all papers, roll paper and colors from outside. Then work with that's why I bring one Fabriano roll and work with this work. And also I saw one more work is there. So previous this one next next this one next one this one this one a graphic print actually. This was a quite later work, 2013 or 14. This one of Iram Sanam Sarmila of Manipur, who opposed that AFSA, Armed Force Special Power Act, and also he did almost 15 or 16 years kind of thing, protesting the whole AFSA. And I did this work in a Lalit Kala Academy workshop in Guwahati. Next, this one 2006 Assam Toil images. Here also that some images come to my mind actually. At that time, I'm reading artistry, how the Greek philosopher Aristotle, Plato, that Hermesis, that imitation, then British comes to India. In the art history, Dusam says art is idea. Then Kossuth says art is process, concept, and the process also. This thing quite haunting dynamically. So that's why I'm thinking with the the urinal with the wounded rhino or symbol of Assam, government symbol of Assam that time, and also one bulldozer kind of thing. Now, so making the quite putting something extension of my images like this. In 2007, I'm thinking 2006, and I'm thinking about something to do with Mahatma Gandhi because what in Assam, Mahatma Gandhi did a lot of things about. He did many endeavor actually against the untouchability, and also he talked about he worked for textile of Assam, and also a lot of ashram is there in Assam. But in Assam, we always breaking the rules actually in the violence kind of happening together. So I'm thinking on Gandhi's presence in Assam, how we feel Gandhi actually in Assam. So with bomb blast images, Gandhi with bomb blast images, bomb blast and that wheel, motorcycle wheel there. Gandhi is sitting in front of a bomb blast victim, and also dripping something dripping in the hair with its red color. And also I'm thinking the background is almost red color because red is a quite powerful of color in the picture and also attracted our eyes and also symbol of our blood also. So red, I want to depicted the red.
It's both a structure and it's both a structural element, visual element, as well as a conceptual element that you use the color.
Yeah. And also I've taken this one also where I worked in the museum, commercial museum, and there is a loom there. There, it's a broken loom. It's for museum purpose. So I, with that loom, the Gandhi taken by a boy, with a photograph, famous photograph of Mumbai of his life, and also some backside window is there, and in the downside there is some wheel also. So a kind of theatrical composition is there in the work. Next. This one actually one that cobbler tools actually, they are using this kind of tools, and this work comes to my mind actually. At that time, some community people is beaten or some massacre is there in a place called Tinsukia. So that time I'm thinking of these images actually, some dripping kind of thing. A kind of metaphor kind of thing. This one also and that F for then one cement company logo is there using that kind of, and the scissor for cutting the heel kind of thing. This also heel of near Bhutan, Bhutan, one place called Bhalukpung. There I draw some images. That heel I have used there in the background. It's a big work. Pardon?
Yes. So this hill you're saying is a reference from where?
There is a place called Bhalukpung near Bhutan.
Okay.
There is a hill cutting by people cutting also, natural disaster also. The cutting hill is like this.
Okay, so this is about ecological damage and the corporatization of land and all of that. So is that the linkages between the three images?
Corporatization is there. Corporatization is there. There is a scissor and there is a cement bag also.
Okay.
Next one. This one is a urinal kind of thing. The urinal with my self images. I made self images. I made Xerox in that time. No digital computer like this. I made Xerox of same images, small size, and putting with this reference. I made this drawing. I made this painting.
This is also Duchampian trope. Like we see the Duchampian trope in your earlier images. So that's a flow of.
Yeah. But the context is Assam actually, the violence.
Yes, absolutely.
Next. This one I have done in 2008. There is serial bomb blast in Assam in 2008 September probably. After 1 month there is a meeting, public citizenship meeting. In that meeting, they asked me to do something there. So I did I collected some wooden doors of Almira and made this work in front of the High Court. It's a famous pond of British Ahom king pond called Digoli Pukhuri. In front of the Digoli Pukhuri, I made this installation, and some scribbling in the floor and by some children, and also one smoke images there, and in the lock in the door actually. So kind of.
Where was these doors sourced from? Were they from a junk place, or were they from actual spaces where some incidents happened? Or so how did it this?
I have collected the door from our university. I have bought this door. And, one they thrown away one almada. Then I bought this door, only that door.
Okay.
So, and
So is the
that
wooden?
time
So these are wooden doors, and and you charred the door, or is it painted? This charring image, that blackish image that you.
and burned.
Okay.
The black image done by burn. With smoke, I burned the image.
And why did you choose this site? What is the significance of the pond, which is of course very old and.
In the front of the High Court,
Hmm.
the high a kind of protest images or a kind of something uh, something do something my artist voice like this a kind of images in front of that High Court.
And these drawings are by children in front?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 4 children then some children join. But I think after some days, some hopeful news that the whole thing changed. I'm thinking that part also. There after some that it should not be continued like this kind of violence remains also. So that's why I bring those I brought those children to draw something on the next. This one that serial bomb blast victims that leg part the right hand side images this in a paper form paper newspaper visual. And also I'm thinking about the first left side one is a Sue by Vincent van Gogh, and the second one is a Marguerite's name, and third one is the paper visual actually, the present reality. And also there's a book called Truth in Painting by Jacques Derrida. There I have read about this kind of this kind of contrast thought process actually of Van Gogh and Magritte comparing this thing. But I want to do some extension with the context and my own places like Assam like this. So I put these images and I used the pen. First I work with Fevicol, then put pen there. Then I with black only black color did this image. There is no other. Small white canvas. This work I have done in 2007 with that exhibition, 2007 tribute to Mahatma, that exhibition. That time I quite actually I'm quite associated with Professor Nilmani Fukan, renowned poet and architect of Assam. I met him in my college, architecture college, and that time onwards, she was quite inspired me, and also I used his poetry, his original handwriting calligraphy, and also the English translation of his poetry, then images. Also. He wrote some poetry in 1980. Two books I had used Kobita and Mittorota Pichiri. These poetry I had used in my book to show the violence, the situation, violent situation. And I used a lot of material here, glass pieces, and wooden stand also. I have collected some wooden stand from Guwahati market, but these are from Longka, Nagaon district. There is a place called Longa. This is jackfruit with wooden stand. Actually, this in a monastery or namghar, this stand is used to keep the book there, holy book. So I have used this handmade paper, poetry, and images. A kind of
So
sacred kind of.
is the book stand charred? Is it again charred or painted? Is it burnt? I mean, those black
Yeah,
marks.
yeah, with more, yeah. The the wooden structure has been burned, but with smoke.
And what is the context of Nilamukin Fukon's poems here? I mean, did you take a particular body of work or what a particular poem? So what are the poem talking about? How does it relate?
When talking about 1980 in the whole scenario of Assam actually, two
Okay.
books, Torata Pichibi and Kobita, his two collection poetry I have used. And he's talking about the violent situation, people, that sorrow, despair is there. That thing I have used, which is original handwriting in the transparency and pasted on the paper. Transparency paper on the paper, and in the behind my smoke images there. Nothing else color. I've used sindoor pigment, and that dark color is like. Also, in the cover, I use print images of the name of the book, like this. Tribute. It's collaborative images like this. I have written, cutting to poet, and also the making that unknown wooden pen artist also. This was selected in National Exhibition of Art Bhopal in 2007. This one title Heaven Says. I had this one. Some popular newspaper have collected this image with one man holding a big python images like this. But here, in the context of urban context, I want to image this with a headless man taking a python, and also in the border, some manuscript painting images of our Assam, some heavens images actually. This one collected from Dr. Naren Kolita's book, Homer Puti Chitra, upon collected these images. And the background sun images, one famous manuscript of Assam Anadi Paton, because there is images of whole universe kind of images. This the background images, in the sunlight images, this Anadi Paton image. So both local, a kind of universal kind of images, then the paper cutting or kind of a collage like images there. Next, this in this work from 2009 onwards, I working with and there's a very important book by Raj Kumar Mazinder, Unicorn. That work, that book quite inspired me to do something, to take rhinoceros images as metaphor in my work. And this is the red kind of big images. It's wounded images of rhino with bullet injury like this, or cutting away the horn of rhino. This kind of wounded portion actually of the head. And on that, actually, I have participated in one workshop in Delhi, that in the Gandhi Darshan Museum, actually near Rajghat. There, I make two paintings there, and with this two painting, I want to use this kind of images. Now, returning back to Guwahati, I did this painting in paper, in watercolor, and also this stencil images of Gandhi. Same images, making smaller and slightly bigger kind of, but the same images of Gandhi. This work I have done in Assam University, 2009. I have joined here, there is a actually our department fair, actually fine art fair. It's called Amader Mela. In that fair, I had this installation work with the fishing net. I've seen when we travel to a department, there's a lot of fishing, a lot of water body and fishing community is there. So, for the sake of that community, I want to do work with this fishing net, then Barbilon, powder color, and some nylon globes, and with that mehendi drawn by our student in the plastic globe, nylon globe. This one work I have done in Silchar. Actually, we have to that time we have to travel by bus to Guwahati to Silchar via Meghalaya. In the morning time, morning 8 or 9 we reach Silchar. But the morning 5 or 6 in the black in the whole ground, and also sky is quite cloudy, a kind of red cloud, which is quite inspired me. And also thinking with Gandhi's images, also I put Gandhi as a protagonist in the background of the red cloud, like this, something to showing the whole context of. Next. This was I had done in Shillong. There is a All Saint Cathedral, Shillong. There is a Lalit Kala Academy workshop. I did this work actually. I was using mosquito net from from Manipuri community. It's quite famous mosquito net and fishing net also. Using this mosquito net, I want to a kind of temporary living place or my personal living place with these violence kind of images also there. Lot of my personal belongings there, personal images also there. This one title Irony Untitled, a kind of violent images. Also some images from this one from staircase, probably images, bomb blast images also there. And also right side, you can see the Brahmaputra, where is Brahmaputra, Changpu is can, this one, a kind of images there. The upper part of the Brahmaputra image there. And one boy is there staring at the whole violent incident. And paper plane is there. This is a violence images again Mahatma Gandhi and the smoke. Here also my Edward Munch images quite haunting like this. My previous work, smoke images. In terms of my smoke images, Edward Munch images quite haunting for me. That's often reflected in my images. That smoke, with men, with people, activities like this. This is a print images, Utkat print images of 2011. Next. In 2013, Lalit Kala Academy invited me for a multimedia art workshop in Delhi, Kolkata, in Kolkata Capital Art Center, and we did this our works in Modali, a temporal actual place of our workshop. But before the workshop, we had an extensive session on that situation in Northeast on art, land and water. it's a very nice workshop actually. And after that we have seen various places of historical places of Kolkata, and then we did this work and did my work. And also I had quite before that I never did installation actually, and uh, uh, before this installation I have and help I was helping Anshuman Dasgupta and that Sunshine Ghost. There is a collaborative workshop, theater workshop, and for the Anshuman that PhD thesis, PhD work actually, and did some theater practice, kind of Badal Sarkar, that kind of activity. And that thing quite inspired me to do something with performance also. So with my installation, this, uh, I did this kind of. It's a 3 days, uh, 3 days installation performance per day, 6 hours like this, and this work.
Can we
I put this.
quickly? Sorry, we are, I think, a bit, I think, time. So can we quickly move to the images? Are there many?
Yeah, this one, Assam Agro. This is my recent work, which 9 more working.
So if you don't mind, Rajuda, can we just go through the works and then we'll come and talk, because we have to keep some, Pranamita, can you just go back? Yeah, we'll just go one by one quickly. From here, I think, after this.
From here.
Okay.
Previous. Previous. The paper making work actually. Previous one. This one. This one I have experimented with paper making, which in Nirupama Academy of Paper Making of Anupam Chakraborty. I did this work with paper pulp actually. Here I use my son's images also there, and some soil images.
Can we quickly move?
This one I have used the elephant images.
Yeah, next.
This is a very recent work of lockdown food like this. This is a artist book.
So this we have followed. I have followed on Facebook, because you have done a lot of, I think, the artist book responding to the coronavirus epidemic in over the past few months. Can we go to the next?
This one, Magot's work. Actually, 2017, I had visited international magazine workshop in Siwan, Bihar. Thanks to Muhammad Yusuf. Actually, he invited me to see the workshop. Actually, for one day I went there and met the very renowned international artist Deborah Chapman, then Sonia, and also Dattatreya Aptre, Anandaman Banerjee, Atin Batra. They are working in the workshop and also see the technique, the measuring technique. Then 2017, after returning back to Silchar, I got these tools, rocker from US. It's a very cost. I think this rocker and try to do something also. But now it is available in India also. Ravi Engineering Work, I did this work. This is a which crow image, crow images. This work. So first I have to make the whole thing dark. Then I varnishing the white thing. This thing, the white will come out. So varnishing. I use copper plate for this work.
Okay. So can we start with a few questions, because there's a range of work that you have talked about. And obviously, when we think of the time that you completed your education and came to back to Guwahati to work, so the context at that time was definitely much more different than it is now. There are much more opportunities. The internet has opened up, globalization. So of course, when you went back, there's a turn of towards globalization, and of course the kind of work that you have done in Baroda, Shantideep in Baroda, and the kind of exposure you had definitely helped bring in new kind of modulations in during that time. So it's interesting to see here that along with so-called traditional practices, for example, painting and printmaking, sculpture. So there are also your work is in parallel with other kind of practices also. So it's a very explorative, experimental kind of a journey that we've seen. And I just want to ask, is when you went back there, so what were the kind of challenges that you kind of faced, and what were the kind of things that were happening? Because at that time, even Dilip Tamule had came back from Denmark. Kishore Kumar Das went back. Debanandu Olu was a fantastic artist. And there were others. So Noni Borpujari was there. So what were the kind of conversations that you had, and what were the kind of difficulties you faced when we go through this conventional trope of what is the center and what is the periphery and what is a region and all these are constructs. The whole construct of Assam as a region, or the Northeast as a region, is a problematic construct. And I think the kind of work that all of you artists have put in there has really kind of challenged this whole art historical problem that the periphery is derivative. It is not, so can you throw some light on that?
When I came back to Guwahati, I feel my senior. I don't talk to my parallel age of the artist, but my senior artists are quite they are stagnant kind of thing. That they taking one style, they working there. They don't want to study, but there is no material also to study of the contemporary about contemporary art. But I'm thinking that they don't want to take the challenges of aspiration of contemporary art. That time, I feel they ask me why you are doing filmmaking, why you don't know painting. Then I slowly I shifted to painting. Then ask me why you do not do printmaking. Then slowly these things quite questioning kind of thing for me. So and then nobody writes about art at that time. We had I did two solo shows in 1990 and 92 of my paintings and prints, but no review is done of that show. And that experience, I'm thinking to do writing in Assamese. And also there is a art channel of Guwahati art called Gil China, which I had I worked as an editor of 1995, which is quite inspiration for me actually. I have we brought articles from Ghulam Muhammad Sheikh, Siddhi Panikka, Dilima Sheikh, like this. Then that Shomi Sanju Motunda. I had translated Shomi articles from in Bengali to Assamese like this. So I had practiced this kind of work. And my dissertation.
So that's very interesting that you had, as a practicing artist, you face these challenges of once you go back there. And then also there's this impulse to write. So it's very interesting that you have a parallel practice of an artist as a teacher, as also somebody who's written books. So it's a lot to do, and I would also like to talk about that when you started undo objects, and when you started with your colleagues and started putting out these kind of different kind of practices, for example the public art projects that you did, uh, what was the kind of response? Also, when you're putting something in public, it's also you're dealing with regular everybody, everyday public. So there is a challenge of negotiating with the public. So I particularly want to talk about the Holocaust, which is a fantastic work, one of my favorites work, Ajuda, from your oeuvre. So what was, because it was in the context of the bomb blast, it was in the context of civil society protest. You also had this whole thing of hope where by bringing children to, you know, so what were the kind of negotiations that you had to do while making the work? It is a fantastic work, but in public, I mean, there is the art artists group, there is the Assam Arts and Crafts Society, there is, so there are these little things, very important things that happened right from the 1960s. But when you're bringing in this new kind of work, what are the challenges that you faced?
No, actually, in my that where I remember actually Guwahati art is people thinking that we are making separate art organization like with Andhra,
Okay.
criticizing us, the meeting. But our whole thinking is different. We want to doing something more kind of experimental work, taking art to public and accumulating all kinds of art activities in one umbrella like this. So people criticizing us, but lot of some artists, filmmakers, and poets interacting with us and working with us. As I can give the example as Mriganko Modukul, who is a filmmaker exhibited history in our first exhibition of that undertaking. Also, and his that student life work of NID listed there. And a lot of poets, and also senior poet of Assam, Hare Krishna Daka, he wrote a article on my work of Assam toy in Assamese also, and we translated it for that Art in Deal magazine. So that's a lot of people interact with us, and Nilmoni people always with us behind it. And also this thing, I think that our next generation, that Ango
Anga Art
Studio,
Collective, yes.
Ango Collective, quite for the, we are actually something making the fertile ground for artists starting initiating something.
Yes, I think your generation has really made those significant changes and placed, I mean, the younger artists to think in a different way, which is commendable. And another thing that I would just like to quickly talk about is a teaching practice. So you have the, I mean, you've been teaching at the visual arts department at Assam University for quite some time now. So what is the kind of impulses, what are the kind of practices, and what are the kind of conversations that you have? Because the kind of work that I see from younger artists that have come out from there, very, very interesting. I mean, even I saw, you know, they are working with performance, they are working with installation practices, their body movement and all of that. So how have you framed the syllabus? I mean, how are you challenging the given syllabus? I mean, do you have to follow a pattern, or is it, are you also making you know, different kinds of possibilities possible?
I am always thinking myself as a learner and then a teacher. And also, we had a optional class of filmmaking, but I have taken advice from my colleagues and my fellow filmmakers that we introduced non-toxic filmmaking in our department. And that we are not using nitric acid in the department. Usually, all the filmmaking studio nitric acid is common. When they are using nitric acid, but we are not using nitric acid. and also introducing this dry point techniques. And we are thinking about the student health and this kind of things. This kind of changes we are making, and also showing e-books to students, and giving to students. I collected more than 100 e-books with me from Shomik Nandibujumdar and Paninder Talukdar. They are giving me this all, and also bringing presentation in our university to talk about new techniques and their images like this, and with our curriculum.
So we've seen a range of work. I think there may be questions from different people about different aspects of your work. Of course, as we see across mediums and techniques, there's also a lot of reading. There's also a lot of critical readings that you've put of authors and texts that you responded to. So would there be, because it is already 6:15 now, so would there be questions from anybody here so that we can open out the discussion?
Is there anyone who would like to ask questions can come forward? We have already typed in the chat box. Like, for example, I wanted to speak, but initially was thinking, but already Rajuda has mentioned about the color red and the description, like, which is very evident in his work. And a little bit, maybe briefly, you or Rajuda can say about, actually, Raj Kumar Mazinder's works are so much influenced by everything happening in Assam around that. So some of the viewers are, I think, may not be familiar with the political scenario or the situations there. So that is one of the things. Like his works are a response to what is happening there at the moment mostly. Even the Assam toil work is also like is a very important work. Like
Yes,
oil is a
yes.
very important was a
Metaphor and,
resource,
and a trope.
metaphor
Yes,
as well as
yes,
otherwise also it was a very important resource from Assam.
yes,
Like there were
yes,
quotes from there like we can give blood but not oil. Like a lot of there were political pressures also at, before
yes.
past to get
So,
oil from. Yeah.
yes, so I can quickly just give a brief background about Assam toil. And I think Rajuda can also add to that. So just to give a context of the political situation of the Northeast and particularly of Assam, you can draw it back to the colonial period and the whole politics of partition and the different kinds of sub-nationalisms that came up after independence, because the Northeast was always seen as, it has been othered, in history, in the historical context. There's always been this question of otherness. It's been seen as a homogeneous region, but whereas, I mean, Mrinal Miri talks about two views of the Northeast. One is the outsider view, which sees the region as one homogeneous entity, and there's an insider view where it is a vibrant place, culturally diverse. Different kinds of people have histories of migration and interaction, and also the context of the Northeast, Southeast Asia, and East Asia, and all these historical connections that are there, the cultural connectedness. So all of this kind of sort of was really brought to a thing with the partition, and we also know the kind of um, the violent histories in all different states of Assam that happened post 1947. In fact, we can draw back to the whole kind of unrest starting right from the 1950s, starting with the Nagaland problem. And then, of course, you have in the 60s, you have the linguistic protests in Assam, and which slowly develops into the range change of events, which goes down to the Assam movement about place, about demography, about identity, about who are people, about immigration, anti-immigration, migration, outsiders. So this whole very complex history that is there, and it is in this context of this complex history that Rajuda has been working over the years, and I think it's a very, very interesting kind of a practice that he has. So to quickly describe or briefly talk about
I
Assam
think
toy.
there is a question from someone,
Yes, please.
Shamali Chaliha. She's asking, can you please speak on your series with the images of Caesars?
The scissors. Okay. Rajuda, can you talk about the scissors thing? Then we can just
Because
come back to Assam toy.
the cutting shields is a metaphor kind of thinking. Is the cutting shield by the instrument, man-made. It's a disaster kind of thing, environmental crisis like thing. That's why you figure continuous South images.
Okay, so can we quickly, Rajuda, discuss the Assam toil, because I think it's a very interesting question that Pranamita has brought up. So Assam toil, as far as I have read it, is a series of works which was done between 2004 to 2008, and critically examines the political history of Assam, particularly in the 1980s. So the first painting that was done in 2004 depicts the logo of the Assam Oil Company. The rhinoceros is a logo of the Assam Oil Company, and it is also, rhinoceros is an emblematic of Kaziranga and of natural resources,
So
natural context. Yes?
Rhoda's thinker image is there, the first painting.
Huh.
Rhoda's,
Right. And then the red rhino is placed above a urinal, which is a Duchamp intro, and the words Assam toil. So as he has talked about toil, oil, and it was to quickly go back to this. I mean, it was the political trajectory of Assam radically shifted with the launch of the Assam movement, which was between 1979 to 1985. And it has its roots in the anti-national agitations of 1957 and 68, when the Indian state wanted to construct oil refineries outside Assam, while drawing crude oil through pipelines from the state. So the slogan of the 1968 students' agitation was, "We will give blood, but oil never." So it's very interesting that you have a 1968 students' agitation happening in Assam, and you also know about the 1968 agitations happening in France. Different context, but I'm talking about the year. And so when you look at this, the way he's used the term toil, it is also very directly relating to the way the colonial gaze on the natural resources of Assam, and later by the Indian state, where the cultural diversity and the richness of people living, the human centric question has always been ignored. It was Assam was largely looked at as a colony, as a place of rich natural resources, of wastelands, of which had to be cultivated. So you had tea and opium and all of that happening in the colonial period. And so I think this whole question of toil is also related to labor, people, the question of labor and people, and also how this has been politicized, and how oil has been a kind of a metaphor for conflict of various kinds. It's interesting to see here in the recent thing about the Bajban oil refinery that has recently happened, so, and there are different kinds of connections that you can think, but I think the whole question of oil and toil is about labor, is about identity, it is about assertion of the self, and all of that. But you can, Rajuda, if you want to add.
uh, I want to talk about hardship of people and the hardship in vain. People don't get anything from the soil, our resources. People of Assam, as you see in the Baghan people, how they uh, driven away from their houses, own houses, due to this fire and the thing. So since last century, people of Assam are quite exploited by multinational companies like this. Whole thing governed by those multinational companies, colonial, post-colonial sector.
Okay, so we can end now. Bishwajita, if you want to speak, you can speak now. There is someone who is asking something, but we are not able to understand the question, or otherwise we will just end the session because already time is
So
over.
Bishwajita has a question about
Yes, ma'am.
Rajuda working in one context, but sometimes things change, historical circumstances change. So she's asking about whether your context will change as somebody
Yes.
who has responded so much to your local context. So
Since 2000 onwards, my thinking is slowly changed actually with the context and with the happenings. And I quite reacted with the happenings and the aspects and challenges from my reality. Take the challenges of the present context of my place and the time also.
and I think that is important also because, as you said, that it is also the kind of work that your generation has done, has laid out a path for younger people, and there were a lot of interesting work coming out. There was a Yellow Cap Collective also, which was doing a lot of public art projects. So then, where there was uh, what was that? I'm sorry. The performance that happened, the performative work which was done by, I'm so sorry. Samudra. Yes, yes. Yes. So it was very interesting that they looked at local cultural practices about the namghars, using those symbols and actually putting the body in public space and using theatrical models and actions. So I think all of this has also been kind of really been starting to explore, which is very interesting in the context of Assam.
And also, we are thankful to writings done by Mosmi Kondali, then
Yes.
I mean, then Pranamita also, some very important article writing of our contemporary artists, which quite inspired us to take this kind of new challenges of contemporary film.
Thank you, Raj Kumar Mazinder, and thank you, Amrita, for joining today, and thank you all the viewers who have joined us today. And it was wonderful to hear about and see the body of works from Raj Kumar, and I think others also who have not seen and known because he has been practicing in Assam, so many people who are not following may not be familiar, and it was wonderful to see. So next time, next week, I think next Saturday, we are coming with some other artists. We will publish the information on our social media platform. So thanks for joining, and yeah, bye.
Uh,
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.